If you've been following my channel for a bit, if you have, thank you so much. I'm super excited about every subscriber that we get. You will recognize this pond. In fact, we just came here last week. I'll post a card up above for a link to that video that show you some of the tadpoles that have grown really fat and are doing great. There's thousands of them in here. I have a few videos at this pond. I'm trying not to break too many spider webs. They've been working really hard and I hate to ruin their hard work. Like many of my favorite places, this is an extremely quiet and peaceful place that not many people know about. The collies always run far ahead here because they've been here many times since they were puppies, and they know that this is where we play ball. They always memorize every ball playing place and rush there to wait. But today, they don't know it, but we are going farther today. We're going to go to another Coast Guard owned pond. All this property is Coast Guard, which is why we call this Coast Guard Pond. But there's another pond that is a very brushy walk, you will see. And the Coast Guard used that decades ago for a water source for a facility that is across the highway. Our Tongass highway is over that way, and there is still remnants of an old boardwalk that came up there. There was a water tank, and there's some remnants of the old water lines and electric lines that still go down to Troller's Pond, and so we'll see all of that. And so the Troller's Pond supplied water across the highway where there's still old pieces of their antennas, and I'm not really sure what they did there. I think it was probably just a communications center, but there used to be a few buildings over there. That's somewhere where I'll take you guys eventually. Today, there's not a cloud in the sky, and we saw actually a heat advisory for the area today. And when you live in Southeast Alaska, that can make other people laugh, because our heat advisory means it's going to get up to almost 70 degrees. It's only, what time is it? It's probably about 8 o'clock in the morning right now, and it is already really warm. I'm wearing long sleeves, long pants, rubber boots, because there's going to be a lot of brush that we have to go through to get to the other pond. So these guys are going to be surprised that we are going to a different place. Let's see if the tadpoles are still down here. You guys ready to go up to Troller's Pond? Let's go. We're having a big adventure this morning. Where's the Chihuahua? There he is. Geddy! Geddy! Let's go this way. Come on. He's ignoring me in his very Chihuahua way. He's actually not a purebred Chihuahua. We adopted him a couple years ago. He's become my son's dog. He had been through a couple of homes. He was constantly barking in the person's apartment, which was unacceptable. He bit a friend of theirs. So I've done a lot of rescuing and rehabilitation of dogs over the years. Sometimes people will contact me and ask me to take in as a foster different troubled dogs. Turns out Geddy mostly just needed some structure, some rules, and a lot of exercise. People will often get small dogs and treat them as though they're little babies, carry them around, don't give them boundaries and rules, structure, and they end up with little monsters. And he's the third Chihuahua we've been given, Chihuahua mix. The first one we got was named Pete, and he truly was pretty aggressive. He would bite anybody. The woman tried to surrender him to the shelter. The woman told the shelter personnel, don't really touch him because he'll bite you. The shelter people said, well, he's not adoptable. He'll probably have to be euthanized. But you can call this dog trainer. And that dog trainer was me. So I met her at our local mall. She handed him over. Well, she couldn't really hand him over because he wanted to murder me. He was about an 8-pound purebred Chihuahua. We decided to keep him. We had him for 14 years. He was a beloved and hilarious little guy. And then 2 years ago, I got contacted about Geddy. So we took him in and immediately knew he wasn't just a foster. Our first walk with him actually was a near disaster. The people had a harness on him, which I usually do not use on dogs for many reasons. But the people said that would be the safest for his very first walk. That's how I bond new dogs with my previous dogs, is I immediately take them for a walk. It's pouring rain, the harness stretched out, and Geddy escaped. And we chased him, tried to catch him for 2 hours before we started to get dark. We finally had to call the owners, who sped over, and they were able to kind of trap him. That was really scary. But after that, he bonded with us, and especially bonded with my son, and he's been a great adventure dog ever since. He's hiked over the mountains on 12-hour hikes. He's gone paddleboarding, kayaking. He has gone camping many times with my son, so he's really funny. Sometimes you'll see him, he has to be tied up when I play ball with the Collies, because he will relentlessly bark at and chase Henry when Henry's trying to play fetch. Chihuahuas tend to be very, very bossy. We did a DNA test on him, which is how we found out he's actually half Pomeranian, but he's big for either Chihuahua or Pomeranian. Geddy is about 8 pounds, and he is such a tough little guy. So here we are at our turning point to get down to Troller's Pond. Here is the foundation for the old water tank that used to sit here. And the old boardwalk. Some people have come up here and made fires. Not many people know this exists. Hardly anybody comes here anymore. This boardwalk used to go down all the way to the highway, so people could just, I don't like the dogs walking on it because it is not safe. But they removed the bottom portion with the stairs, so people really don't come up here anymore. Whoa, see, that's why I don't like them going. There's Edna, and it's 12. The last thing she needs is to twist her joints. So let's get out of here. All right, so hardly anybody knows about this trail. If we go down this trail, you'll see how brushy it is. But the pond at the bottom is so beautiful. We usually see kingfishers there. Seen bald eagles a few times. And, all right. Since I started making these videos, hiking my daily hikes with the dogs, people have asked me, how do you know where you are all the time? And I started getting out in these wilderness places back in 1996, exactly 30 years ago, when I started training search and rescue dogs with Ketchikan Volunteer Rescue Squad. And to train air scent wilderness dogs, you need to get out in the wilderness. This trail actually holds a special place in my heart because this is the first area I ever did a compass course, all with a map, paper map, all by myself. And I remember the pure joy and pride I felt when I went through all this brush and completely untracked wilderness, and I did a big square, and I used that water tank, which was marked on the map, as my start point, so I had a nice solid start point. I did a big square, carefully counted my steps, and ended up right back at the water tank. It was so memorable. I was so happy because I wasn't that experienced out in the wilderness yet, so it was a little bit scary. But after that, I've been out in these areas countless times. I would train my dogs. My first dog was a lab mix that I picked up at the shelter named Annie. She was an incredible working dog, and I trained her 4 days a week, not always out in the wilderness, but at least one bigger problem out in the wilderness. And we would place one pretend, we'd get a volunteer who would come out and sit, and we would know exactly where that person was, especially in the early days of training. And then we would just practice with the dog. The dog would learn the best way to work the area, to find the scent, and the fastest way to get to the person when they did come upon the scent. Our dogs are trained to find any human scent because our areas are so vast and so empty. We just want them to tell us about any human that they find, which can be a little bit of a challenge when you want to train somewhere where there are a lot of people, because then they want to come back and tell you about every person they find and get their reward, which is usually a ball, a tug toy, maybe a con toy. Edna, who just took a big dunk in the bog, even though I guess gave her a bath yesterday. Her favorite reward is our tennis balls. She also liked frisbees, but frisbees are harder to carry in your pack when you're doing search and rescue. So I just used the tennis ball for her. Henry really likes balls and tug of war. He likes tug of war more than the girls do. Audrey likes balls, and Henry was really good at search and rescue. Audrey was really good too. Audrey is almost 8 years old now. Edna's 12. Henry is 4. Audrey is almost 8 now. Both of them have also done extensive search and rescue training. Edna's the only one that got certified. By the time I got Audrey and Henry, our search and rescue team had dwindled to just me. So it really became tough I didn't have a team to train with anymore. And we have a series of tests that we have to do, so I didn't have team members to test us. And then I realized I've been doing this for 30 years. I think it's time to retire, so that's what I did this winter. This is beautiful. The light isn't great. The sun's coming straight at us, but let me show you. Now up there, a sign of civilization. A cell tower up there. Hey, Crazy. Hey, Eds. All right, we're a little off the trail. It's not much of a trail here. Here's the trail we're following. This is one of those trails that you shouldn't attempt by yourself the first time because it's really tough to see. In fact, I just lost sight of it. I'll follow. The dogs know where to go. There's a spider web. I'd prefer not to break. It looks already a little bit broken. Wow, those are tough. This is the brushiest portion. Getting close to the pond, though. You might wonder, how did I come to live? It's such an odd place, Ketchikan, Alaska. Well, when I was 14 years old, me, my brother, my little sister, my parents lived in Spokane, Washington, and we had been sailing on Coeur d'Alene Lake in Idaho for years, and my dad had gotten very interested in the idea of sailing full-time, living on a sailboat. So we moved onto a sailboat in 1977, and his dream also was to sail to Alaska. So, in the summer of 1981, we sailed to Alaska. We took all summer to get here. Got in a few storms, broke a few pieces of equipment, but we arrived in Alaska's first city. We're the farthest city south, Ketchikan, in September of 1981. And as are the Septembers often here, it was extraordinarily stormy, so we got kind of stormed in, and life went on. My parents split up. I went to college a year later. Anyway, we lived on the sailboat for about 5 years. My dad continued to travel and live on the sailboat for another 15 years or so. And I did in 1988. He needed help. He had just been down in Mexico on the boat, and he sailed it up to Hawaii, and they needed to go from Hawaii to Seattle. And he was telling me on the phone that that's a really hard trip to do single-handed. And so I offered to fly to Hawaii and sail with him. So in 1988, I sailed from Hawaii to Seattle with him on our 50-foot aluminum sailboat. I'll see if I can find a photo of it. I know I have a photo of our family right the week that we arrived in Ketchikan. All right, we're arriving at the pond. Here is where the old pump station used to sit that carried water up to the Coast Guard property. A bit of an eyesore, but a part of history. It also had electricity. Somebody put flagging on this trail, which I don't love. It really mars the wilderness feel. I think one person probably did that years ago, and then it just kind of uglifies the area for years after. You could use your compass, you can use your GPS. You don't need to junk up the wilderness with surveyor flagging. Just my opinion. Look at, isn't that beautiful? And there were some more structures down here too. I'm actually not sure what those were. And then there's some old pilings out there. Let's go this way. Where's Geddy? Can't even see him in this grass. There he is. Oh, old cable. Oh, this is a nice spot to sit. There's a kingfisher over there that just plopped into the water, catching fish. Audrey, cooling off. This looks like a good spot. What do you guys think? They cannot relax when the balls are out. And I know they're getting hot. Henry's under here like always. So I'm going to take the balls away so they can relax and cool off. Audrey. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us. We're going to head home for some breakfast, and we really enjoyed being out here on this scorching summer Alaska day of nearly 70 degrees. It's beautiful out here. I absolutely love sharing these places with you. I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and a huge thanks to all the people who have subscribed so far. You guys ready?